Jon Sumrall is the new head coach of Florida. Gators fans are not enthusiastic about this hire at all. Of course, everybody wanted Lane Kiffin. I'm a Miami fan, and even I wanted to see Lane Kiffin take this Florida job. But unfortunately, Lane Kiffin didn't have a good meeting with Florida's athletic director, Scott Strickland. I know Gators fans are going to want his head on the silver platter even more after this. But Jon Sumrall was one of the best hires that Florida could have made. When it comes to the requirements that Florida fans had for whoever was going to be the new head coach, they were always going to be unrealistic. It's hard to find coaches that have won conference championships, that have a body of work of sustained success over the course of several years, when you weren't really picking from that big of a coaching pool that had a bunch of proven coaches. Based off the requirements that a lot of Gators fans have for who should have been the next head coach, essentially your guy was either Lane Kiffin or James Franklin, and you didn't land either one of those guys. So the next best thing that you could get was Jon Sumrall. Now, the majority of some of the better coaches in college football either were good coordinators or they were very good coaches at the G5 level. And yes, Billy Napier was a G5 head coach, and that's why Florida fans have PTSD about this Jon Sumrall hire. But the SEC also has several other new head coaches that are coming from the G5, like Alex Golesh at Auburn, Ryan Silverfield at Arkansas. Jon Sumrall was 3-1 against the other four G5 head coaches that he coached against in the American Conference, which essentially you could consider a Power 5 conference. It's the best G5 conference in college football. And not only do they produce a lot of good players, but they also produce a lot of good head coaches that do pretty good when they get bigger jobs. And he had Tulane ready to play against a lot of Power 4 teams. They beat Northwestern by several possessions, and they also beat another Power 4 team, I believe it was Duke, by 10 points. And you don't just beat Power 4 teams as a G5 team by 2 possessions if you're not a well-coached football team. And Jon Sumrall, he can't be any worse than what Billy Napier was. There were several close games that Florida has lost over the last few years that easily could have been won if they had better coaching. And at least with Jon Sumrall, who has committed himself to building a staff that's going to be built not through friendship, but guys who are actually qualified to be coaching at a university of this level, you don't have to worry about incompetent play calling from Billy Napier anymore. You don't have to worry about a guy who's going to be hesitant to make changes, a guy who's going to be stubborn and who's going to live and die by something that simply isn't working, like how Billy Napier did. And the good thing from Billy Napier's tenure at Florida is Billy Napier built a good foundation for Jon Sumrall to build off. Florida isn't a program that you no longer have to rebuild if you're Jon Sumrall. Billy Napier did a very good job of recruiting, a very good job in the transfer portal. I can't wait to see what Jon Sumrall's offensive coordinator does with a guy like Dallas Wilson, with a guy like Jaden Ball. What's the defense going to look like with Cormani McClain? I believe that Jon Sumrall can easily win 8 games or more in his first season as Florida's head coach. Talent no longer is the issue with this program. The program also is more bought in to NIL. They got their NIL collective right, something that Billy Napier had some struggles internally with when he first got to Florida. They also have upgraded several facilities. Like, Florida is a program that they may not be viewed as a tier 1 job like how LSU, Alabama, Ohio State, and Notre Dame are, but they're a 2-tier job. And if you get the right head coach in here that can maximize everything that Florida has, along with the easy proximity to blue chip talent that you have in the state, a guy like Jon Sumrall can easily elevate Florida back to the level that they were under the days of Steve Spurrier and Urban Meyer. Jon Sumrall, I believe that he'll be a pretty solid coach. I got a homie that currently plays for Jon Sumrall at Tulane, and he said that he's a solid coach. And with him bringing in an entirely new staff, not bringing any of the players that he had at Tulane, any of the recruits that he had, it shows you that this guy knows what it takes to win at this level. Billy Napier, when he got to Florida, he brought a bunch of his Louisiana guys. Montreal Johnson was pretty good. A few of them were pretty good, but most of them didn't really pan out. And he also brought a few recruits as well. Jon Sumrall isn't doing that. He's coming into Florida with a clean slate. So what won at Tulane, he knows won't win at Florida. He said that the offense that he had at Tulane, the way that he built that team was based off the personnel that he had to work with. So that shows you that you're getting a guy that knows how to adapt. You're getting somebody that's flexible. Billy Napier wasn't flexible. You're getting a guy that knows how to make adjustments, not just in game, but also during the week or during the season. Now, we've seen Billy Napier make adjustments when his back was against the wall and he was about to get fired, but you're getting a guy that even when you're winning, Jon Sumrall is still going to find ways to make this team better. He's always going to ask himself, what can I do better to make this team better, for us to perform better? Now, who's going to be his quarterback? That's to be decided. We don't even know if DJ Lagway is even going to return for another season. He just might hit the portal. But even then, I think that whoever they get as their new offensive coordinator, DJ Lagway, or if they go on the portal and they get a transfer quarterback, you're going to see better quarterback play because you're going to get better play calling. You're going to have a better staff, and you're overall going to be a better coach team that should help elevate the talent on the field, because there are a lot of good players that got held back due to incompetent play calling of Billy Napier. So if DJ Lagway does get another opportunity, Jon Sumrall probably brings in a guy to compete with him, to get the best out of him, to make sure that he's not assed out and DJ Lagway really isn't trash, because I don't think DJ Lagway is garbage. Now, I don't think that he's going to be the player that we all wanted him to be when he was coming out of high school as a 5-star recruit, but he's salvageable, and we've seen what a new coaching staff can do with, a certain quarterback that might have struggled earlier on in their career. But I'm not necessarily saying that Jon Sumrall is going to be a home run, but I do expect him to be probably the second best hire that Florida has made outside of Dan Mullen, and be able to build off a very good foundation that Billy Napier has set for him.